Kansas Moonshot Podcast, where we are shining the spotlight on amazing things happening in schools across the state. Whether you're one of the Mercury, Gemini, or in the near future Apollo schools launching some amazing redesign plans, or a teacher trying to do something a little different, I want to share your story. The goal is to celebrate the awesomeness all around us. Now, this week, as I wrap up my spring break, I don't have a guest on the show, but I just wanted to share something that's really stuck with me through the week. It's this idea of teacher self-care. Now, self-care is one of those terms that I love the term, but over time it's lost a lot of its meaning and value. It's like the term grit or mindfulness. Those terms that they're great, and when used appropriately, they have so much power especially in the educational space. But they've been used so many times in so many different variations that they're losing that appeal, that interest. They're losing that spark that really makes it a meaningful approach to your life. And so I just want to tell you kind of the simplified version to me of what teacher self-care means. Last week, over spring break, today's Sunday, it's my last day of spring break. I head back to school tomorrow, and I took some time off. I went to Branson with my family. I took a night in town, a staycation for a night. And so I had a couple of different little mini vacations, and I truly unplugged. Now, for me, unplugging was within reason. I did, for each of my Twitter chats that I normally participate in, I did allow myself to post one tweet that said, hey, I love the chat, but I'm doing this vacation time with my family. And so I did allow myself that one little piece of grace. But I tried to shut off school stuff and thoughts about lesson planning and thoughts about all these things that I know are coming up next week. Now, I could have worked ahead a little bit. I could have responded to some emails that maybe needed to be responded to. But for me, self-care is taking this week and making it not connected to anything school related. I spent time taking my kids to the pool when we were in Branson. We went and we played laser tag. And I sat and I watched a movie with my kids without having my phone out texting the whole time. I did a lot of things where I completely disconnected. And for me, that's what self-care looks like, is when I can disconnect. And that's okay. This may shock you, but if you don't respond to that email at 9 o'clock at night that comes in, that email is still there the next day and you can respond to it then. Sometimes, and I know I do this a lot, I beat myself up because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I do not respond to this email, I am not a good teacher. Or, you know what, if I do not read 5 articles before I go to bed, I am not a good teacher. Or, you know what, if I don't send that 15th positive email home, oh my gosh, I'm a failure as a teacher. I just want you to know that those moments when you need that self-care, and again, I don't like that term because it's been used so much, but those times when you just need that break, take it. It's like when you're on an airplane and the pilot says, hey, you need to put your mask on first before you put the mask on your kids. Sometimes you have to take care of yourself so that you can better take care of those that are in your charge, whether it's your students, or if you're an administrator, whether it's those teachers that are under your observation, under your tutelage. It's important to realize that it's okay to take those moments and take those breaks. That doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, I would say that you're a better educator for it because you realize when you've hit that cap, when you've hit that moment that you can't take it, and you need to step back, and you take that moment. Instead of the opposite, when you just keep going and you burn yourself out. That's how teachers leave the field so quickly, is they just burn themselves out because they think they always need to be doing something more. I get sucked into that too, which is why I'm a part of 3 different podcasts, and I've got my website, and I've got this teaching thing, and I'm part of Redesign. And I love that. I love being a part of everything. But it's just, I've learned for myself where that line is when I need to stop and take a break and take a breath and just, enjoy time with my family. So I hope if you are getting ready for spring break this week, take a moment, enjoy that time. If you're wrapping up your spring break, you're in it for the long haul until summer break, take that time on the weekends. I know it's hard. Sometimes all you can spare is 30 minutes where you sit down with your kids and you play Legos with them. Or you take a minute where you just sit on the back porch and do nothing. Or you get out that book that you've been putting aside, you really wanted to read, that book that maybe isn't the most, academically invigorating, but is gonna bring you joy. Take that moment. My wife loves to cross stitch, and so sometimes when she needs that breath, she just gets out her cross stitch and sits while the kids play in the backyard and cross stitches. For me, a lot of times I like putting a podcast on and going for a walk. But just find those moments that you can take some time. My own children, I've been working with them on knowing when they need a break too. Sometimes when we are both frustrated, maybe one of the kids has done something and they're getting in trouble and it gets into that cycle. I'm sure your kids are perfect and they've never been in this cycle. But if they're like mine, sometimes they get in trouble and then I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, you got to stop doing that. You're grounded. And then they get angry and start yelling. And I'm like, oh man, that's double the grounding, triple the grounding, quadruple. You're going to be grounded for the rest of your life. And instead of escalating it, I'm trying to do a better job of identifying I'm frustrated, you're frustrated. My daughter and I have really been working on it, and we're both getting better at realizing, oh my gosh, our conversation right now is not productive. I'm going to yell and say things that I will regret later. She's going to yell and say things that she's going to get in more trouble for. And so we've been working on how do you say, I need a break, I need to stop, I need to step back, take a breath, and then have a positive, more productive conversation. Now, that was kind of a tangent, but I feel like we all get into education because we want to do all these amazing things for kids. We want to help. We want to teach them. We want to enrich their lives. And sometimes we burn ourselves out trying to do everything for kids every moment of every day. And sometimes it's okay to stop and take a breath. And that's all I'm saying with this episode is it's okay. Stop. Take a breath. Find something that brings you joy. Because that email, that assignment that you need to grade, that lesson plan that isn't quite finished yet, that can wait until tomorrow. So I hope you have a rejuvenating time, even if it's just 30 minutes, to take a breath and do something that really just brings you joy. That is all I've got for this episode. I've got a lot coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping to get some great podcast episodes in, some new updates to the podcast. I actually finally decided to just pay the money, and I bought a pro account for Spreaker so that we can keep all of the older episodes. So I'm going to get those uploaded in the near future, back uploaded so that you can hear all of the previous episodes of the podcast. But thank you for all your support. If you get a chance and could go on to iTunes or wherever you view this podcast and give it a like, that's actually how we move up in the ranks and get on more people's radar. Because I really want people to hear what amazing educators in the state of Kansas are doing. Now, I want you to think about this. Think about that one teacher in your school that is doing something awesome. Can you do 2 things for me? Over the next 2 weeks, I want you to think about that one person. I know there are plenty, but think about one person that is doing something amazing. Go tell them they're doing something great. Sometimes we like, oh, they probably already know that they're doing something great. And a lot of times we get stuck in that I'm just going to not say something to you. I'm sure they already know they're doing something great. go tell them that they've done something great. And then let me know about it, because I'd love to get some shout outs on the podcast. Even if I don't have people being interviewed, I'd love to still give a shout out to someone who's doing something really amazing. For example, Amy Hillman is a teacher in my building, and she is the master at teaching kids how to be a student. She's the master at teaching kids how to, basically what she's taught me is that everything you want a kid to do, you have to teach them very explicitly. Not just, oh, you know what, I don't know why they're not doing their homework. They should know how to do this by now. We're in 6th grade. We should know how to do this. Well, if they're not doing it, they probably don't know how to do it. And so she's really taught me that you have to teach them every single step of the process. If they're not doing their homework, they may not know how to keep track of their homework. They may not know where to sit when I do my homework. They may not realize that you have to eliminate every single distractor. She taught me that when kids come up to get a treat from me, they don't always realize, they may have never been taught that you're supposed to say thank you. And so instead of getting frustrated and say, oh my gosh, I gave kids candy today and not a single one thanked me, I front load it and tell them, when you are offered a treat from someone, you have 2 responses you can give. Thank you or no thank you. That is it. And I very explicitly teach them that skill. And then I reteach it multiple times because some of them don't get it on that first try. So that is why Amy Hillman is an amazing teacher. Now, if you've got an Amy Hillman in your life, if you've got someone who's just doing amazing things that you want to give a shout out to, please let me know about it. I'd love to shout out to them on the podcast. So on that note, I hope you find some joy this week, over the coming weeks. Enjoy this beautiful sunshine that we've got. At least we had some sunshine today. So enjoy those moments of sunshine. And I hope you all have a great week. Now, for more information about this episode and other episodes, check out my website, MrStockRocks.com. It is currently under construction for some new redesigns to the website. So hopefully we'll have some new features on it in the near future. If you want to give me a shout out, if you want to ask me a question, you can email me, teachlikeaninja@gmail.com. That's teachlikeaninja@gmail.com. Or follow me on Twitter and message me again at teachlikeaninja. I've been your host, Josh Stock, 6th grade language arts teacher and self-proclaimed awesomeness expert. Until next time, book it forward and be awesome.